chocolate is where I need to be. That's where chocolate makes people happy. Chocolate is a universal love for this world.
Welcome to Season 2 of the KnifeWife Podcast. I'm Suze, here with my husband,
Bob Turzawola.
We're professional creatives and entrepreneurs who live, love, and work together. We share our stories to find ourselves in others. P.S. This podcast has little to do with knives. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for listening to us. I'm here with my partner in crime.
This is Bob. Hi.
And it's Suzi. And Suzi what? My handlers are changing my name to a stage name, and that probably will be determined on Friday. And I just had headshots done. I've been doing all kinds of open mics and work, and my comedy career is going at the speed of light. On April 8th, I'm going to have a show at the National Comedy Theater. On April 19th, I'll be at the Mic Drop in Kearney Mesa. And May 24th, I'll be at the Comedy Store in La Jolla. And then I have some fundraisers and some other things I'm doing that are private events. So what can I say? I want to be successful. I've never not been successful at any career I've ever been in. I'm always driven. And right now I'm driven, driving my husband crazy, right, Bobby?
That's it.
But he's supporting me and going to comedy shows, and we've met some really fun people and crazy people, and that's my pretty much, when you have a traumatic childhood, that's pretty much where you end up in comedy. And I'm in a room full of my people.
And she keeps me laughing.
I do. That's my job. Another big announcement is we're going to go to video. This episode and the next episode will be our last audio, and we're going to go to video right in the room we're in. We're going to shoot it right here. And so everybody, our guests, will have to be dressed and ready. No more pajamas. What else? Did I forget anything, Bobby? We'll be at the Blade Show for people who are knife people. We'll be at the Blade Show in Atlanta.
It's going to be the beginning of June.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to have a home show before that, I think, right?
We're going to have a home show actually within a few weeks.
I want to call it Wild Thing, but you want it Into the Wild or something very conservative. But I think Wild Thing would be a great name.
All the knife handles will be wild animals.
Okay, which you get from sustainable farms in Africa, correct?
South Africa.
South Africa, yep. All right. So today we have someone who I think her resume and her life experience probably equals mine, at least. She's a risk taker, a big risk taker, and she was raised by a risk taker, as I was. I met her through Different Day Radio here in Vista, and she did a special, which we'll talk about later, about what she does. Her name is Dayleen Coleman, and she is a chocolatier. So say hello.
Hello.
Hello. And I hope this podcast tastes as good as it sounds. That's all I can say. There's my one joke. Dayleen has done many things. She has a chocolate shop in San Marcos, which I went to after I had my knee surgery in December, and I really did no shopping for anybody locally. And so I went there, and I found something for everyone. I got a little something for me, too. But anyway, and then I'm looking at 2 chocolate bars that she brought for us, a dark and a light, that say thank you. And those
which are in front of me.
They're in front of Bob. They're not in front of me. Suzi is sugar sober, and I'm not promising that's going to last forever because I just can't imagine never having sugar again. But I imagine that's what an alcoholic or a drug addict feels like. And I am an addict. But that's another story. I don't want to talk about that. That's boring. So, Dayleen, tell us a little bit about, briefly about your upbringing and your early story, your original story.
Yeah. So, I'll try to make a long story short, but
18 years. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 18 years of life summed up. So, I was born and raised my first 5 years in Escondido here in San Diego County. And my mom, who quickly became a single parent at about 23, 24, she moved us up to Central California, and which was incredibly brave. She was all on her own. She knew that she needed to kind of get away from the toxic environment she was raising us in, and got my sisters and I far away. And we went up to Central California, and that's where she chose to get us a home and raise me. It was a low-income environment. Didn't have a lot. But they say when you don't have a lot, you don't know what you're missing.
I don't know. Bob comes from very humble beginnings where he lived in the half an attic with like the honeymooners apartment with his mother, father, and brother. And at one point they built a half wall, and that was the only wall in the whole place. They lived in this one room, and he didn't know. Right, Bob? You always thought
didn't know we were
got plenty.
Poor. Yeah. You never know. I had third generation hand-me-downs. I didn't know everyone in my community was sharing clothes. We didn't know.
Were you the only redhead in your community?
No, my sisters were the other two.
Okay. Okay.
Well, Three redheaded sisters.
Yes,
My God.
I produced a big, tall redhead with blue eyes. Yeah. So, I have those ginger children.
Yeah.
I love them.
We were the only redheads in our school.
Yeah.
They're 2 years older than me, or 3 years older, 2 grades older than me. But so it was really fascinating just kind of being in that environment. My mom saved up for about a whole year. She was a waitress. She did that until she worked 3 jobs in the summer when we were out of school, to raise us. And she did that until she remarried and then was able to go back to school and became a vet tech. So she did. Oh, she
that's
did.
Nice.
She's got a fabulous. Yeah. Anyways, she's. I can go on and on about her.
And we have that similar thing. My mother opened a store when I was 11 years old. No mothers worked then. Yeah. My father was home with me, and my mother opened this store, which I pretty much lived in, called the Surrey House. When my kids would say, "Well, where's your mom?" when they'd come over, I said, "Oh, she's at work at her store." Why doesn't your dad have a job? And I mean, it was this, that was the time I grew up in. It was better. You're younger than I am, but it was not the norm. And then my dad would pick me up and take me to everything. And everyone was like, "Where's your mom? Where's your mom?" And she's working. She's making a living. And she made a great living. So she was an influence, even though I didn't like it at the time. I wanted her home more like other moms, but.
Yeah, I didn't understand really, it's like my mom was always working to support us. And then, like I said, she ended up going on and becoming a vet tech. And now she's got her own boarding facility up in Visalia.
Really?
She's an entrepreneur. I just saw all those phases of her life and how she navigated and became, she has a wonderful life now. And it's still hard. She's on her own, but she's got a beautiful farm. Mm-hmm. She's living the life she imagined.
She wants, yeah.
And I saw that hard work and that passion and drive will get you there. But yeah.
So you went to this camp.
I did.
This Western. We used to go to one, but nobody asked me to do what you do.
No, so it's pretty fun. My mom, like I said, she saved up so she could send my sisters and I to camp. We go to this, and it's this ranch, and it's Western riding, nothing crazy, but we were around horses. We were having a blast. And my sisters and I, we have red hair, and I had a ton of energy, and I was never quiet. And they quickly identified me as someone that they wanted to do something else that they did at that ranch, which was stunt riding. They did acrobat riding. They called trick riding.
Yeah, it's trick riding.
Trick riding. Riata Ranch Cowboy Girls, it was called. And they quickly recruited me out of there and said, told my mom, all expenses paid, that she wouldn't have to pay anything. So it opened up this whole opportunity for me to travel. Like, I'm this poor kid from Farmersville. Yeah. There was no opportunity. Yeah. And yet here at, 10, 11, 12, I'm getting to travel. I want to, all over the place and do some really cool stuff. My daughter, my youngest, is always telling her friends, "Oh, my mom used to do this and that." She's always thinks that's the coolest thing ever.
Well, I have a friend who has a daughter who's quite a horsewoman. She's got a scholarship to her college for riding horses, and she competes. And it's not barrel race. I don't know what kind of horse it is. It's not dressage. It's she's got a cowboy hat on, man. She's going around these things, and the horse is cutting. Yeah, okay. She's unbelievable. Yeah. And, we've known her since she was, 4, Bob. Hallie's amazing. And I have another friend who was also a trick rider, and she has all these dinner plate belt buckles from all the competitions she rode. And she's a good friend. She's a tough one. Yeah. Did you ever get hurt doing that?
Oh, I did. And we didn't do competition. We were actually entertainment. We were brought into all the rodeos to do the rodeo, the grand opening, the ceremonies, standing up on the horse with the flags, and then we do this,
You stood up on a horse with a flag?
I did a backbend on a horse, like in full gallop. I hung off the side with one strap and drug my hands on the ground, called a suicide drag. So vaults, wow. I did a lot of vaults, which you can see. I don't know if you can see. I have a nice big scar here. It's come out more as I gotten older. I lost my hearing in my right ear, my peripheral, and I have a pretty good scar on my right side for hitting a fence doing a stunt.
Yeah, fences
at 12.
don't give.
So yeah, that's my reminder. Every time I look, I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was worth it.
Where did you travel
It was
to?
worth it?
You said you did traveling.
I
Did
got
you?
to travel so we had a trailer that would take us all over the North American continent. Up to, we'd go to Canada, Mexico, Barcelona. We'd head across the
Barcelona,
ocean.
wow. Did you have to bring your
So
horses?
foreign trips also.
No, we did. We also did trick roping.
Oh,
Trick roping,
okay.
which is really cool. So it's a really old Western thing that we got to do, and it was done in the old Western movies. The trick roping.
I know all about it. I'll tell you why.
it's super
I
fun.
worked on a show called Wildfire about a
Okay.
girl and a horse. It was an ABC family show. And the girl had a horse, and there was horse racing. And we worked with stunt guys who were riders, all kinds of cowboys. And the days those guys were on set were my favorite. First of all, they'd broken everything.
Mm-hmm.
And one time I was smoothing a jacket, a blazer on top of a guy. He was going to be an auctioneer at a horse auction. And he literally had like zigzag shoulders because he'd broken them, and they don't set them. They just let them heal. And I'm like, how do you lift your arm? But anyway, but those days, so these guys would be out with ropes in between shots. They'd be, where their horses were all parked, and they'd be doing this incredible roping stuff that I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. There was no trick roping. There was nothing like that. Anyway, it was my favorite day, and I really got distracted a lot because I would rather be with them than my crew because they were so fun.
Oh yeah, no, I was raised around those. Tom Meyer, he was a true cowboy. He even stunt doubled when he was young. He was the stunt double for Elizabeth Taylor in National Velvet.
Wow.
He knew all the big, he had to wear a wig. He was a little guy at the time.
Did you have your own horse?
I did. Yeah. Well,
Special horse?
we were assigned our horses once we joined the team. We were assigned a horse, and that was our responsibility. So I had to build a bond and relationship with that horse.
Sure.
What
And you
was the
learned
name?
responsibility because horses don't take vacations.
So I rode, my favorite horse was Gus, but I also rode Rosser and Iron Eyes.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're doing that, and you're probably getting to be about ready to graduate high school, right?
Yes.
And did you have any friends in high school who were into this? Did they get you in high school? They were like, oh, yeah, she's a stunt girl.
So the team, basically, we all went to the same high school. Most of us did.
Oh,
Some went to Visalia, some went to Exeter. I went to Exeter High School, and but we would get called out because we needed to go, get going to go to a show, and sometimes that show would take us on the road for 2 weeks. We'd have tutors with us that would help us. I missed so many activities. I didn't get to do a whole lot in high school, but everybody just knew, oh, they're heading out,
Yeah.
So one of the girls that I went to high school with and would travel with was her name was Kansas Carradine. Her dad was David Carradine.
Her name was Kansas
Carradine. Her dad was David
Mm-hmm.
Carradine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if you know who the
Royalty.
Carradines, the royalty. Yeah, the Carradines were Western royalty. So we got exposed to a lot of, just getting to meet
That's
celebrities and people in the industry and doing some stunt.
One of the
Some
great
things.
actors from the 40s was John Carradine.
That was
Right.
his
Right.
father.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, okay, so you're about ready to graduate high school.
Yep.
What's the plan now?
I was kind of just done and ready to move on. I seem to have a 10-year attention span.
I have a 5-year one.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I have about 8 to 10 years. So I needed the what's next in my life. And so I got on a bus that literally said it was Tijuana bound, but I got off in Oceanside. So,
Yeah.
Did you think you were in Tijuana?
No, I knew where I was going. I knew where I was
she was
going.
going.
I knew my mom wouldn't have put me on a bus that was going to, take me actually all the way down to Tijuana. But I was 18. I left home, and I was a week after I turned 18. I came down here and started a new life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you went to school and worked?
I went to school. I put myself through school, and I worked as security for Target because, of course, I'm an adrenaline junkie, and I needed, and
So you're 18,
I'm
red-haired, blue-eyed, fair skinned.
Yeah.
You look like you're probably 12.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a redhead. So he's just looking like an adult now, and he's 37.
Yeah, no, I definitely look young. A funny story. I know you asked me a little bit about this before, but with some of my friends from Target, we all went up to Price is Right.
Oh.
And we go there, and we're in a group of about 12. We all had these ridiculous shirts that we spent all night on.
And just so you know, folks, not everybody knows what Price is Right is. It's a game show, and now I think Drew Carey is the host of it. I don't know. I only watched it when I was homesick from school. But okay, so you guys all went up to be on the Price is Right.
So we all go up to be on Price is Right. There's 12 of us, and I got drug up there. I didn't even want to go. I had anyways, but I went, and I was really grumpy because the person who drove us up there I was so sick, car sick. So when they go up, you go in front of these interviewers and in groups of 10, and they just ask you, tell me your name, tell me something, just anything about yourself, just catch my attention. So basically I said, my name's Dayleen, and I just rode up with this group of people, and the driver just made me super car sick. I need to get on the show because I have to win a car. I didn't know I didn't get my freaking car that day. Okay. I was like, seriously, I'm like, I need to win a car because I don't want to drive back with them. Yeah. Anyways, so we're literally the last person called up on the show, and they say Dayleen Robinson at the time, come on down. And I was like, oh, dude, like crazy. So anyway, I got on Price is Right. I won the whole dang thing.
Which was how much?
Thing. I think it ended up being about $48,000 and stuff. I spun 90 cents on the wheel. If anybody's ever, some people, never. Yeah. So anyways, I spun it. Wheel was heavy, but I won a car. I won a trip to Ireland. It was my first time going to Ireland, and I took my mom.
Oh, how nice.
What
a great story.
Yeah, I took my mom. It was really great.
And the car? You got the car?
I got the car. It was a little Chevy Cavalier. It wasn't anything special, but hey, gave me
a brand new car.
Brand new car.
And the other stuff, because you have to pay taxes on it. Did you have to sell stuff?
I did. So the best way to do it, take everything and sell what you don't need or want to pay the taxes for what you want to keep.
Okay.
That was the trick of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And back then, was there Facebook Marketplace or something? How did you sell the stuff?
Actually, I sold it to most of my coworkers at Target. Word got out, and somebody wanted my golf clubs. I won some golf clubs. I don't know. I won like a ghost piano. Yeah. Don't want that. A mattress. I won this bedroom set, but I sold the mattress. Whatever. But I made the money, so I was able to, walk away free and clear.
Yeah, entrepreneurial, even as a guest on The Price is Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So that's a great story. I love that story. I've never been on a game show. I think we might be doing a game show here in Vista. I don't know if we're going to do that we talked about with the Different Day Radio. Mm-hmm. So that would be fun to be in our Hollywood Squares.
That would be fun.
Thing. Or I'll be the host, or I don't know who's going to be the host. They're going to get somebody much more famous than I am, because I'm in the witness protection program of comedy right now. And so anyway, okay, so you're working at Target and as in security, and I'm looking at, you can't see her. She's not really a big gal. Yeah. So not someone I would think of as security. Now I do see a lot of flat-footed, big fat guys that are security, and I think, well, they couldn't chase anybody if their life depended on it, but they could knock them down.
Yeah, they could. So it was kind of funny. I was only one of a couple females that did this, had this job in San Diego County, and I weighed about 115 pounds at the time. I was tiny, but that was to my advantage because I would catch people off guard. They wouldn't have a clue. They literally would steal right next to me. And when I would stop them, they'd be in such shock.
What weapon did they give you at Target?
I had handcuffs and a badge.
Oh, there we go. Okay, go proceed.
They taught us how to bring people down, which I could, and I did. But we had backup. And oh my gosh, the stores, anyone that was working there would see me and they'd be like, oh, yeah, they were excited. They wanted to join in. It was fun. Yeah. So I did that. People never noticed me. Like I just kind of, and I'm like, how did you not notice me? I'm like, got this bright red hair and I'm standing right next to you. It's because I seriously look like I was 12.
I know. I can just see it now. They would not expect a 12-year-old to be the security guard.
Mm-mm. And I'd stop them and they would be in such shock that they just kind of stand there frozen. And before they knew it, they were handcuffed and I was bringing them back in.
The shock and awe takedown method.
It was. And, I got into some little brawls and got injured. And, until my husband said, Dayleen's enough's enough. Why don't you focus on your education and let's move away from this? And I was like, all right. And I kind of got tired of, I would arrest, people of all walks of life. But one of the things that always upset me is I'd arrest a lot of kids. Yeah. And then their parents would come in and not seem to care that their child was shoplifting. And I'm like, wow, this is a really messed up system, got to break the cycle. And so I started realizing, I wanted to help kids. I really did. So I went back, I focused my education in children's services and ended up going and working in social work. And I helped out risk youth.
Which we have in common. And that's a burnout, sad job. What I thought in school and what I saw in reality were two different things.
Well, I had a pretty good idea. My aunt was a foster. She had a foster home when I was growing up, and we would go and spend some time there with her, and the foster kids were in there, and I knew their lives were pretty tough, and she took them in. She always had like 8 kids. It was a real good home. So I kind of knew the foster system and what it looked like to be, I could see from their perspective what was going on. But I just got to a point because I was working with family reunification, and I lost that, unconditional positive regard.
Yes.
I just wanted to smack the parents, not, help them get their kid back.
Stop doing this.
Like, come on. And I just kind of lost that faith and hope. And so I ended up getting out of direct and went into indirect and worked at the university over here in San Marcos, at Cal State San Marcos. And I started my next thing, which was to help start the Master of Social Work program there, which is actually now a very reputable, nationally acclaimed social work program. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so then something else happened that you didn't pick your end of the career. It got picked for you.
I hit my 8 years, so I needed a change now, Yeah. So my next 8 years started down into London. We went to London. My husband had the opportunity with his work for our family to pick up. I had 2 little kids, and we moved to England. And I had always I was fascinated by chefs. I mean, I was one of those kids, I stay home from school like sick and watch was it BBC or PBS or whatever? I watched Julia Child.
Oh, yeah.
Julia Child.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I was fascinated by cooking. And I had, up to that point, I'd only made stuff with very poor ingredients. But I wanted to make the big, beautiful stuff. So I told my husband, I'm like, I want to go to culinary school. And if I'm going to go to culinary school, I'm going to where Julia Child went. I'm going to Le Cordon Bleu. However, I didn't speak good French, so I went to London.
The London version. Well, that's a good idea.
London. So,
and you probably blended in there. A lot of redheads in the UK.
Yeah, not as much as in Scotland and Ireland, but yes, it was fine. I loved the weather. The weather loved my skin. Loved the weather.
Your skin loved the weather. Yes, I know. When I lived in Chicago, I had this puffy skin, and then I moved to New Mexico, and I was like, whoa, concrete. Yeah. And here it's pretty dry too.
Yeah, this.
Yeah, and there's no sun, so who's worried about sunscreen so much then? But anyway, okay, so you're there. You're at the Cordon Bleu in London.
Cordon Bleu, and of course,
which is fun.
It's fun, but it's not easy. Like I was saying, we were living in a town called Bishopstoke, a little village, an hour and 20 minutes outside of London. So on the train. So I would take the train from Eastleigh to Waterloo Station 5 days a week, hour and 20 minutes each way. I'd spend that time studying and everything because when I got home, I was mom, I was wife. I need to focus on my family. So I utilized the time on the train for all my studying and my time at school to learn. And we spent 9 to 11 hours at school at Le Cordon Bleu being taught by the best.
And were they welcoming and nice and sweet to you all the time?
Oh, at the school, yeah. The teaching chefs were kind of hard on us at points. They wanted to teach us what it would be like to be in industry. They really, when you leave Le Cordon Bleu, you're ready. And that's why, before I even graduated, I put my CV out there and I had a ton of offers because they know they're putting out well-trained. And there's been, unfortunately with Le Cordon Bleu, there was some boutique schools and stuff that was ran by a third party and all didn't go as well. But if you're trained at their main hubs, Paris, London, you're going to be prepared.
Do they have one here in the States or no?
They did. They did have one, but I don't think it exists anymore. I'd have to look and see because they've been kind of going away. They have one in Mexico City. But yeah, they're in different countries.
Okay, so you graduate from there and you have offers. Where do you go first?
Oddly, I went into cuisine. I was trained in patisserie, but I went and I first started off in cuisine as on the fish and seafood section. So I was a cuisine chef, but I took what I could because I wanted to learn. I knew that at that point, once I graduated, I got my textbook knowledge or whatever. Now I was to gain my practical experience. I needed to learn as much as I could before we came back.
Yeah.
Because I was going to open a business. I didn't know exactly what it was going to look like, but I knew I was going to have some sort of food establishment and I wanted to learn as much as I could while I was there. So I took every minute, every opportunity to learn. And so I took the dirty work. I took the getting in the morning and like I was telling you, first in, last out. I would do the receiving of fish.
Yep. And the receiving of fish. Okay, so I went to nothing like you went to school, but it was owned by a private company, and I went for this one summer in Montmartre. which is now a suburb of Paris, but it was part of Paris at the time. And when we had our week of fish, when that came in, oh my gosh, we opened those, and and they were fresh. I mean, they weren't day old. They were just caught. It stunk so bad. And then when we learned, I can bone a fish and do whatever, and then the scraps from that. Oh, we had kept taking the garbage out every hour. It was so bad. But anyway, so you started in the restaurant part, which is what she's explaining. But then the patisserie, did you ever?
You did.
I
had the opportunity to take over in the patisserie department, and and I had other opportunities to work with patisserie, and I really do love making desserts, beautiful desserts. That was what I was trained to do. But the thing that working those 15-hour days, it wears and tears on you way harder than it did doing the train and going to culinary school. I mean, I would just be exhausted. And after doing this for, almost a year, I'd realized my kids never saw me. Yeah. And I got all I could out of that industry. I got the knowledge. I got what I wanted out of it as far as to know. But I wanted to try something new. And a friend told me, there's that chocolate factory over in Alresford, which is just outside of Winchester. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm remembering Chef Graham telling me, you should go into chocolate when I was in, I always did very well in our chocolate practicals. And I really enjoyed chocolate. So I was like, what the heck? I'm going to give it a try. So I sent over my CV and they hired me and I got to work there for quite a while. And that was fabulous. We made beautiful chocolates for Fortnum Masons, and we did.
I love there. I love going there for lunch.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We went there when we were in London, Bob. That's where John Anthony took us for lunch, Fortnum Masons.
Right.
Yes, and we had
London.
Yeah, that was. I love it. Yeah, I wish they were here.
Oh, I know. I really love it, and so I got a lot of great experience just working with chocolate, but we also traveled all over the UK doing big corporate team building events. Yeah. That's where the teaching came in. My absolute love of chocolate, because I not only got to work with it, but I got to learn how to share it and the knowledge that I had accumulated. So I started traveling and doing all this with them.
Let me interrupt you. And I think your social work background, like my social work background when I got to the movies, helped me greatly with all the personalities and all the, the different types of people that I had to work with. And I think probably that helped you as well, yes?
Oh,
you became
absolutely.
a customer therapist.
Yes, a customer therapist.
A customer, yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
So the chocolate therapist, okay.
The chocolate therapist. And, I just found that, traveling everywhere, and we would do these events for 300 people for really big corporates, corporations that would go to London for their big conferences, and we would come in at the end and do something fun for them. Yeah. And so there would be anywhere from 50 up to 300 people, depending on the venue. It could be a private island on the Thames, or it could be a location, or it could be a Henry VIII Tudor castle and a great hall we did events in, really cool places. Yeah. And I found that only out of hundreds and hundreds of people that we did these events for, only one person came straight out and told me they didn't like chocolate. And my response immediately was, it's okay. I bet if you make these chocolates and take them home, somebody will take them off your hands. Yeah. Like, it was easy to look at her and know that someone she's going to run into that day loved chocolate. And that's when I had that aha moment.
Oh, okay.
Chocolate is where I need to be. That's where chocolate makes people happy. Chocolate is a universal love for this world. Like, there's very few people you'll come across that say they don't like chocolate. Chocolate may not love them. They may get a little upset tummy. Some people have problems with the caffeine. There may be problems with, but they don't outwardly say, I don't like chocolate. Yeah. So that's where I realized not only did I love chocolate, a lot of people love chocolate, and I now spend my life sharing that love with people.
Right. And so then you moved back to the States from London, and your shop is in San Marcos. How long has the shop been open?
My brick and mortar's been open almost 6 years. It'll be, as of June 11th, will be our 6th year at the lake. So we
Lake
expanded.
San Marcos.
Lake San Marcos.
So there's so many great things right there.
Oh my God, it's an amazing resort area.
It is.
It's a beautiful area. I love it. I love being there.
So what's it like running a chocolate shop? I mean, there's got to be employee stuff. You don't want to say too much. But I mean, there's a lot to juggle.
Well, okay, so let's put in perspective. So I opened up June 11th of 2019.
Oh, good timing.
There, you got it. So I was not even opened a year before COVID hit.
Yeah.
I had at that time 7 employees. We were really doing well, and everything got kind of shut down. And my main thing was, obviously I had my retail, but my events, my classes. I was doing a lot of classes. I've calculated it up. Recently, we calculated that I've done workshops and classes for somewhere, around 20,000 people between the UK and here. Since I've been here in the States, around 12,000 at least.
Wow.
Did you ever think about starting a rumor that chocolate stopped the COVID?
No, but that would have been really helpful.
Yeah,
If that was deceitful, I could have done
call COVID
that.
the dark times now. That's what I call it.
But
So
chocolate has a lot of real great health benefits.
It does.
They say
It
there's
does.
a ton of research showing, it's benefits for the blood, the heart, the mental well-being. They say have some chocolate if you got a cough. It helps. There's so many.
dark chocolate, right?
Dark chocolate, yeah.
At what point do you receive the raw materials? I mean, you don't start with the cocoa beans.
No, I'm a chocolatier.
You're a chocolatier. So you get chocolate that's already been prepared in bulk?
Basically, yeah. So there's 3 stages of chocolate. You have the farmers that grow it. You have the chocolate makers that make it into with their recipes. So every chocolate maker just creates different recipes to make beautiful chocolate. And then you have a chocolatier. And a chocolatier is a chocolate artist. We create with that chocolate.
Yeah.
So the chocolate, say I get a real basic one, say Callebaut 811. That's a very common chocolate that, all chocolatiers use. It's a nice, good base chocolate. Now, I would use that to make a ganache. So I'd use cream and other things to make a ganache with. But that's just an ingredient. So I don't modify the chocolate itself. I add other things with it to make something.
Got it.
So if I'm making, say, a mousse, I make chocolate mousse. I would put butter with the chocolate, emulsify it, and mix it in with my egg yolks, and then fold it into my egg whites and my my whipped cream, and make a beautiful mousse. So chocolate is just the element to that dessert.
Right.
How much longer till lunch?
I know. Well, my mouth was watering when she was just saying these things.
Well, what is your favorite thing to make? What turns you on the most?
My favorite dessert to make is the opera cake, and it's a beautiful dessert. It's a layered entremet. So you have layers of chican sponge, so an almond sponge cake soaked in a coffee syrup. Then you got a nice layer of dark chocolate ganache, another layer of sponge cake. Then you have a layer of a coffee Italian meringue buttercream, and then another layer of sponge cake and ganache. It's a beautiful layered dessert. I know you're drooling.
And when we lived in Albuquerque, we had some very close friends that were from Paris. She was a pastry chef and he was a bread chef, but she went to the same place you went to school, and she didn't have like chocolate bonbons, but she made beautiful dessert. I mean, her desserts were unbelievable. And he was the best bread baker I've ever seen anywhere. His croissants are better than any I had.
The best croissants we ever had were in Albuquerque. And that includes Paris.
But they work like dogs, man. They work, and they can't get people to wash dishes, and they can't get people to, they have a little restaurant, a cafe. Oh, their coffee's so good too. And so it's a lot of work. And I was going to ask you, so what time do you get to work and what time do you go home?
Well,
so somebody's like, oh, I want to do this.
Yeah.
If you do get to go home.
Sometimes. No. Actually, in the early days, I worked a lot more than I do now. I have 9 employees, so it makes it, everything's distributed amongst us.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm not going to be running the retail. I have employees to do that. I have a baker. I have 2 bakers. I have chocolatiers that help with chocolate. The classes, I have some of my staff teach classes. I teach the more advanced classes.
And where do you teach them?
In my workshop. So we expanded, oddly, during COVID. The business next to us went under. And I had first rights of refusal. And there was several other businesses sniffing around that unit. And I had this gut feeling, I don't know why, but one person that was really taking it serious, she was taking measurements and stuff of it. I think she was going to do like a what is it, like a dog grooming or something.
Oh, God.
Wouldn't that be a
Lovely.
disaster?
Lovely.
I'm like, would that even be allowed, like to have a dog groom? Believe me, dog groomings are great, but not next to a food establishment. But anyways, so I was like, no, I got to go ahead and take it. Even though I wasn't financially ready or in a good place to be taking on an extra $900.
There's the risk taking.
That's the risk taker. So I took on, it's just under another 1,000 square feet of space. And I took it on when I had no idea when we were going to be able to do classes again. I took it. And now we have that room filled all the time. We always have classes.
Tell us about what's filled in that. Tell us about the classes that are there. So people who are local, if they want to, or someone comes to visit me, might want to take a chocolate class as well.
Yeah. So of course I have my chocolate classes because that's my passion. So we have everything from just basic knowledge where you just get to do a fun activity, just to the introduction into chocolate, and you leave.
A one and done class.
It's a one and done. You leave with a lot of goodies, and it's a lot of fun. We actually were voted best in San Diego for that class.
Yeah.
So we then do 2 advanced classes. So the stuff that you see on, social media the more artisan chocolates where you have the beautiful colored cocoa butter and all that. And so we do those classes. So I teach that advanced class. We also have baking classes. So we teach from macarons. That's one of the things we are specialized at our shop is macarons. And so we teach there. And 8 and up. I mean, I teach our kids in our kids camps. We even do kids camps. I teach them how to make macarons. I really don't think that age, as long as they can physically do the demanding work, because you have to fold and you have to really, if you can do that, then you can make them. I take them step by step. And from kids to, any age, come to us to learn how to make beautiful macarons and other proper French desserts.
Do you know what that is, Bob?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what a macaron is?
I think so. The ones I've always seen have coconut on them.
No, that's a macaroon.
That's a macaroon.
But that's a good thing to bring up here because that's 1 O 2 O's.
So what's it? So there's a macaron and a macaroon?
Yes.
There is.
It's French.
Okay, well, enlighten me.
Okay, I'll enlighten you, sir. So a macaroon is 2 O's, and that was invented here in the U.S., and it has coconut with meringue, and it's baked. Okay, so we make those actually at the shop,
yes,
and we
I had some dipped in chocolate.
Oh my
I
gosh,
think.
yes, we dip in chocolate. Of course, it's got to be dipped.
Looks a little toasty on the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we actually started those as kind of a joke because people would come in asking for a macaroon, but they meant the macaron. They didn't know the difference. So we're like, well, then we need to make sure they can see the difference.
Right.
So we started making a macaroon. And it literally has the 2 O's with the underline on the sign. And then the macaron, which is only 1 O. So it's a macaron. So we mostly connect it to France. However, it came over from Italy with Catherine de Medici chefs.
Really?
Okay, so we're going back. So she married the French king. And her chefs brought over the macaron, and it was just a shell or a little biscuit.
A little shell.
It was just the single biscuit. It was the French, of course, that foo-fooed it up. Put color to it. You put either preserves, ganache, meringue, or buttercream, whatever inside, and make them pretty.
Are those little ones that look like a hamburger?
Yes.
Hamburger bun.
And they're bright colors.
With the little thing in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah. I always thought that, that they had just misspelled it.
No. The French don't misspell anything.
Okay. Well, I am now enlightened. Thank you very much.
All right. And my other question is, do you ship anything from your store? People will be listening from all over the world. So do you ship?
Yes, of course we ship.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
And that is
on our website.
Yes. Delightful chocolate. D''Li, not on the website. It's DelightfulChocolat.com.
Yep. No E at the end. So it's not chocolate. It's chocolat.
Chocolat. Yes.
Delightfulchocolat.com.
Chocolat.
You can find us, and we have we ship anywhere
I love
much.
that.
I even shipped to my friends over there in the UK.
All right. We'll have to talk about classes. I have some friends coming to visit, and maybe we can get, I don't know, you're probably booked up, but maybe I can get them in a couple classes. They would like that.
Oh, we do private events too. A lot of private events. Like this weekend, we have 2 birthday parties back to back.
Okay.
We have a bridal shower. Coming up. We have, so we do a lot of private events. We also do afternoon tea on our patio on Saturdays by reservation.
Oh, nice.
Which is
nice.
a nice touch.
Do you ever do chocolate sculptures?
I do.
You
Sure.
do?
She's a
do.
chocolatier.
I actually got to train with Amaury Guichon out of Las Vegas. Everybody knows who he is. He's amazing. And I got to go train there and make a beautiful whale out of chocolate. And there I actually
does that.
Yeah. And that was actually a really cool experience because while I was there, it was during COVID.
The dark times.
Yeah, those weird times. It was actually 2021. I took this class. It was a small group, and I met Chef Christophe Roll of Bake Squad, and he actually came back. He lived in the area, and he was currently had just been named our U.S. Chocolate Masters and was training to go on to the World's Chocolate Masters in Paris. And he needed somewhere to train, and my shop was literally 15 minutes from his house.
Oh,
so he trained.
Great.
So he came and trained at my shop for almost about 10 months. And then we all went out to Paris to support him and cheer him on. And he took 5th in the world.
That's
so
fantastic.
my extension, I spent so much time in the chocolate community and world. I love it.
Oh, it's
So
wonderful.
how do you start a whale made of chocolate? Do you start with a big block and carve away?
No, actually, you start with an egg. Does that not sound weird? Not an egg like you're thinking. A mold. That's
It's
a
an
shape.
armature. It's an armature in
it's a mold.
sculpture.
Yeah, so you start with a mold and make like an egg shape with it, with the chocolate mold, and then you build off of that. And so you're actually starting with the interior and structural, and then you make. We just take the chocolate, just regular chocolate. I don't add anything to it. I know some people will do like chocolate modeling clay where they'll add like oil or something to it, but no, if you just put it in a like a food processor, okay, and grind it down really, really well. It makes a nice paste. The cocoa butter releases and it makes a nice paste. And that's what you use on the outside of your sculptures to smooth,
It's like
start
slip.
molding it.
It's like
Like
slip in
plastering.
ceramics.
Yeah,
Bob.
exactly.
Okay.
It's like slip, Bob. A slip in ceramics.
I don't think I would get halfway through it without, eating most of it, nibbling here and there.
Yeah.
Well, that could be the danger, but
And they
obviously,
say, what happened to the whale's tail? Where is that?
When I was growing up in my mother's store, next to her store, a woman owned a candy store called Coralie, and I think they still are open. She doesn't own it anymore. But when they were busy, I used to come and help the dippers because I had great fine motor skills, and I would dip chocolate-covered cherries with the C on them and the orange with the O on them, and I did the line across the mint meltaways and all that stuff. And I really didn't eat any
some help.
chocolate.
Okay.
What?
I always could use some help at the shop.
I know. If you need me, I probably
your
could.
spare time,
Yeah, in my spare time, yes. Yeah, maybe I can give away actually your chocolate at my shows. That would be kind of fun to give them something. Anyway, but I never ate chocolate during that time. Only in later years have I really acquired a little bit of a taste for chocolate with something, not just plain chocolate, but
She's that 1 in 100.
No, I'm not that one. I just worked in it, and I was around it so much. And
People ask us all the time. The number one question I hear them always asking my, retail and staff and everything is, do you ever get sick of chocolate? No, we don't. And the reason is we have it in moderation. Like, obviously, as a chef, I have to taste everything. Like, you have to make sure it tastes okay.
Yeah.
So throughout the day, I'm eating chocolate all throughout the day, not in mass amounts, but a tasting spoon worth of, a ganache or, something I'm making.
Yeah.
And
Would you consider hiring a person just to do that job?
a taste tester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, it's her shop. I think it has to be her palate.
I need to know if it's good or not. It's funny. I've gotten a lot of these requests lately for that Dubai bar, and I was like, I won't do it. And the reason is it sounds awful to me. For one, but
Explain what it is, because not everybody will know.
yeah,
what it
but
is.
it's like this whole TikTok viral thing, and it's using, and the original one is using milk chocolate, which to me, I like milk chocolate in moderation a little bit, but it's already really sweet, but then it has like a filling. It's like a bar with like this filling, and it's using this shredded phyllo dough that you saute. Basically, you fry it with some butter. Add
How bad? Because phyllo dough is butter.
let me keep going.
Yeah.
So you add a whole bunch of this pistachio butter. Okay, pistachio butter is okay in a little bit. I use it in our Italian meringue for our macarons a little bit. We're talking like a tablespoon. No, this is using like,
Half a cup.
more than that.
More
No,
than that.
I mean, it's a lot. So then it's that. And then, anyway, so you mix it and it goes inside the bar. So it gives it like, I guess, a crunch and like pistachio. And to me, I'm like, that's just, it doesn't
Gross?
sound, it
Gross,
doesn't,
it sounds to me.
it sounds awful. And I haven't tried it. So I know some people said, I've tried it. It's okay. I've never actually come across anybody that said, wow, it's amazing. But, they're like, it was an experience. I'm glad I tried it. And if somebody literally handed me one, I would try it. I have not seeked it out and I haven't tried to make it. So yeah.
Cool. Anyway, well, Do you have Instagram?
Just the at delightfulchocolate.com or at delightfulchocolate is my handle for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Okay. TikTok. Yeah. See, just because it's on TikTok doesn't mean it's good.
No.
We see a lot of stuff on that, but it's fun to watch.
I don't do a lot on TikTok. I'm on it so I can binge on other people's stuff.
When I'm named, when they figure out my stage name, my managers, we will open a TikTok and a X, and more. Everything will be renamed. But for now, I'm safe from TikTok, except for dances. I joke that Bob and I were not on TikTok because we couldn't do a dance, but that's going to change. Anyway, well, I can't thank you enough for being here. Your story is fascinating. I would love to do sort of a live podcast from your shop and your classes or class on video just to show it off, because it's I didn't get to go in the back when I was at the retail part of the store, but that was pretty delightful, no pun intended. Chocolat. Anyway, well, everybody, thanks for listening. Comments, questions, where to do that on either on YouTube, or you can do it on social media at the KnifeWife. She's on Instagram, and she has a Facebook group. Pretty soon it's not going to be called that anymore. It's going to take a while to unlearn that, but I appreciate your time today, Dayleen, and everybody. Say goodbye, Bob.
Goodbye, and thank you for coming, and thank you for the chocolate bars you brought us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
They're so nice. I'm trying not to look at them.
The education on macaroon, whatever.
Okay. All right. Well, lunch up, Bob. You got lots to learn. Thanks for listening. If you like what you're hearing, please share this with a friend and subscribe where you listen to podcasts. Support our efforts through Patreon at The KnifeWife, and for all Terzawola goodness, go to terzawola.net. And remember, if you're not laughing, you're not living. Comments and questions can be made on Instagram at The KnifeWife Podcast or our Facebook group, The KnifeWife Podcast. And if you're a couple who work together and would like to be on our podcast, tell us about yourself with an email at eccentricsuz.com or terzawola.net.